Nobody ever seen. Look at the $20 bill. That's on that $20 bill. What does that look like? What does that look like? Does it look like the Twin Towers burning? Now look on the other side. What does that look like?
Wait, Brady, look.
You see that? Now look on the other side. What does that look like? No. Do it again. Do it again. Roll it back. That's the Twin Towers burning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now what's that building? That's the Pentagon building right there. Check that out. That's the Pentagon. And then they both blow up on the same day? Why do you think they changed the $20 bills? Right after that, they changed all the money. Why? Because on all the money, those are Masonic symbols. That's why we was talking about freemasonry earlier. This society, don't worry about it, this society was built off of freemasonry. That's why this is how they plan things. When they can't go, when the Illuminati can't get to everybody, in their secret meetings, what do? They put it on money. They put it on money. They put it in music. They put it in movies. This is how they keep let all the other members of the Illuminati and all the other members of the secret society, like the Boule, okay, them Sambo Negroes that want a piece of the American pie, okay, they put it on money. They put it in movies. A lot of these movies have messages in it. You have to realize what you're watching. A lot of these movies have messages in it. Secret messages in it. You go out. A lot of the money has secret messages in it. Okay, a lot of this music has secret messages in it. Why do you think the music nowadays is programmed and designed to have our children bugging out? Yeah. Look at the rap music that's going on today. That's why we stress on the rap music so much. It is demonic. Because back then when the rap first came out, it was about just having a good time. Yeah. What does having a good time have to do associated with killing your people and effeminizing the men? Because the men they're becoming a bunch of homosexual thugs. Look at them. Pants sagging down.
Tight jeans.
Tight jeans. Yeah. Wearing pink shirts. Pink was identified with who? Girls. Blue was identified with boys. That's just natural. But what are they doing? They have feminized the men, and they've taken the men and pushed them so far away from God with entertainment. Okay, all types of things. Whether it's movies, whether it's music, whether it's Broadway shows. Look at who we have to look up to in the black community. Tyler Perry, he dresses like a woman. Who looks up to that? Yeah. Who wants to look up to a man that dresses like a woman and say, I want to be like him? Okay? Look at all the great comedians. Look at Martin Lawrence. Look at Eddie Murphy. Look at Flip Wilson. All of them did what? They were feminized when they got to Hollywood. Look at Will Smith. What was he made to do? His first big movie. Homosexual. 6 Degrees of Separation. Look at all Larry Fishburne. Look at all of them. That's why they're so mad at, what's that brother's name? The one who didn't do it, who didn't want to dress like a woman?
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. That's why they mad at, that's why they blacklisted him. Because he didn't want to dress like a woman in Blue School. The movie with him and Martin Lawrence. He said, look, I feel uncomfortable dressing like a woman. Shortly after that, what happened? He walked away from the show. He's like, y'all not going to feminize me. And then they try to say, oh, he's bugging out. He's crazy. No, he's smart. Because he's not going to sell his soul to the devil. That's why you don't hear from him no more. That's why you don't hear from him no more. We still hear about Eddie Murphy and Jamie Foxx. Look at Jamie Foxx. He's a flaming fight. He's a fight. Homosexual. What's that character? Shanae? Not Shanae. That was Martin Lawrence.
Wanda.
Who?
Wanda. And Martin Lawrence was Shanae.
Martin Lawrence was Shanae. That's what it was. Look. Why is it that all the great comedians have to dress like a woman? Look at Eddie Murphy. Norbert. Just like a woman.
Rasputin.
You heard about him.
Why is that?
Right. About that.
You think that those are rumors? Those are true. He's a flaming fight. But what people, as far as what people do they have to look up to? Nobody. Nobody but Christ, because the Bible's still here. And now it's time to come back to Christ. Why? Because these are the last days according to the Bible. Look at what's going on in society today. Why do you think there's a recession in this country? Why do you think all them banks just tank like that? Because a lot of those banks, those corporate banks like Lehman Brothers, like AIG, they were the ones that were financing slavery. They were the ones that were insuring the slaves. So this country happened, and who were the slaves? Our people. We were the slaves. What do you think Wall Street is about? Wall Street, the original Wall Street was set up, that's where the slaves came in, they put them on the wall and sold 1 nigga, 2 nigga, 3 niggas sold. This is where that was going down. See this right here? All these things were happening on Wall Street. That's what the initial commodity was. The initial tradings were slaves and cotton. Those were the two biggest things. You needed slaves to do what? Pick your cotton. That's what you needed. You needed slaves to pick your cotton. And that's what they did. They would trade us down on Wall Street. They would trade us down there in Virginia, the ports in Virginia, the ports over here. Wherever you have ports, that's where slaves are being sold at. But the main one in the Northeast was Wall Street. Okay? So now it's time for our people to wake up to who they are according to the Bible and realize that Christ is about to make a second return. When you read about World War III, that's recorded in the Bible. World War III is beginning now. You see, they're trying to have this one world order with Barack Obama supposed to be the savior. The savior of who? He still hasn't made a change in the black community yet. And so if Barack Obama was one of us, he would have made significant strides in improving the black communities. The black communities are actually worse off now than they were before, and they're going to get worse. Because Barack Obama, in every speech he made, he's like, I'm just not for the black community. He'll say, I'm not for the black community, I'm for everyone. He's not even trying to associate himself with the black community. And you know what? Even when you watch the news, watch closely, they'll say, this is what a lot of the news people say. They'll say Barack Obama is African American. Then they'll say Michelle Obama, a descendant of slaves. But if we're supposed to be African American, what's the difference? Think about it. If we're supposed to be African American, and he's supposed to be an African American, why are you identifying his wife as a descendant of slaves? Why? Because they know the Africans and the Arabs rounded us up, like in these pictures right here, and sold us to the white race, put us on cargo slaves, and that's recorded in the Bible.
Yeah, I got
all that's recorded in the Bible.
Yeah, I got the Zonovan, because that could further illustrate that point.
Yeah, you know what? I got the Zonovan, but it's in my trunk.
I got a copy.
Yeah, let me get it. Yeah. But see, what we're bringing out, that was recorded in the Bible. That was prophecy that was coming to pass. You understand? That was prophecy, because we're not African. Even when you read it in the Bible.
Actually, they gave it to me. I saw it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna read it. This is the Zondervan Bible, right? This is a copy of the Zondervan Bible, right? And it's basically identifying who Ham is. Zondervan. I'm sorry, Bible Dictionary. I'm sorry, the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, and it's basically identifying who Ham is. So read that.
Ham. Definition: perhaps hot.
Right. So the definition of Ham means hot, because that is the hottest climate country in the world. Read on.
The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood.
Right, because when you read about...
I'm sorry,
go ahead, sis.
Y'all have a blessing.
Yeah, and check out that information. If you got any questions, you can call, right? Okay. And we have a website also, right? Okay. So read on.
And one of 8 persons to live through the flood.
Right, so Ham was one of 8 persons to live through the flood. Now it says he was the youngest son of Noah, but when you read it, according to the Bible, he wasn't the youngest son of Noah. So this just to show you that these books, sometimes they'll tell you the truth, but then they'll mix a lie in there also. Because when you check it out, he was the middle child of Noah. Because when you go into the genealogy, you go from the oldest first to the youngest. So he was the middle child. He was the second oldest child of Noah. Read on.
He became the progenitor
of the forefather, read on,
of the dark races.
Of the dark races. So now it's going to tell you a little bit of a lie and the truth in here. Read on.
Not the Negroes.
It says, what? Not the Negroes. It says he became the progenitor of the dark races. Now when you say dark races, you think of black Americans, you think of even Arabs. But it says the progenitor of the dark races, but then it comes back and says, not the Negroes. Now, who are the Negroes? The so-called black men in America. Read on.
But the Egyptians,
the Egyptians, which is an African nation, read on.
Ethiopians,
another African nation, read on.
Libyans,
another one, read on.
And Canaanites,
South Africa, read on.
Genesis 10, 6 through 20.
And when you go to Genesis 10th chapter 6 through 20, it goes into the chronology and the breaking down of the nation. That's what it goes into. So what is that? I had, you want me to go to chapter, right?
Well, chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time,